I wanted to sort of give a little heads up because obviously I'm going ahead in the book to create the course materials. And now that we're finishing this week the descriptions of the atmosphere of Vrindavan. You may remember the last few weeks we studied the rainy season in Vrindavan. Today we'll cover the autumn, that transition from the rainy season to autumn. And then various leelas will start to unfold in a more intimate way between Krishna and the associates of Braj, most specifically with the gopis. So I want to remind everyone that these Saturday gatherings are only reviews. Of course, we go as deep as we can into it, but I can't cover all the different materials from all the different purports because it would just be too lengthy as a review. So listen to the recordings if you can, and read if you can, because this becomes more tasty and more flavorful the more we engage with it, rather than just kind of in one ear and out the other. Of course, nobody's doing it like that, but it's a good opportunity for the next couple of months, actually, with the different things that are coming up, to really dive in. It's a very beautiful part of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's an essential part. It's kind of like the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam is in these next 20 chapters. So let us continue on into those texts. Oh, I was working on my rasa thing. Here we go. This is February 2025, lessons 1 and 2. And Samapriya, can you pick some readers for us? We're continuing the study of chapter 20, the rainy season and autumn in Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Nice to see you here. These are really wonderful, wonderful opportunity for us to go deep into Krishna's heart, what really is so meaningful to him. So let's start off today with Acharya. Would you like to read?
I'd love to, thank you. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 20, Text 32 and 33, Sarartha Darshini. While Lord Rama and Lord Keshava were thus dwelling in Vrindavan, the fall season arrived, when the sky is cloudless, the water clear, and the wind gentle. The autumn season, which regenerated the lotus flowers, also restored the various bodies of water to their original purity, just as the process of devotional service purifies the minds of the fallen yogis when they return to it. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The description of autumn begins here by saying that the water became clear and the wind blew gently. Due to the autumn season, the lotus flowers blossom and the lakes become crystal clear. Similarly, by engaging in devotional service, the heart becomes purified and then Sri Krishna appears. The autumn season is compared to devotional service, the lake to the heart, and the appearance of Krishna is compared to the lotus.
Okay,
Beautiful.
thank you. Pati, did you want to say something?
No, I just said that's so beautiful.
Yeah, it is so beautiful. And before we go to the next verse, which I'd also like you to read, Acharya, can you tell me something about how long this will take for Krishna to be manifested
How
in
long
our
will it take?
hearts?
It
Yes.
could take a moment, or it could take many, 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 many lifetimes.
Which is actually, I guess it's all relative, that because that's a moment to Krishna, right? It's
Sure.
teeny weeny.
And who was it? What's the story in Mahaprabhu's Leela where someone the devotee was told, you won't be liberated for X many
Oh,
millions of lives, and he started dancing in ecstasy. Oh, there's an end to my
right.
conditioned life, and I will attain Krishna at some time.
What was that, Pati?
I
You know
can't
this.
remember who that was.
It was
What
during the
is?
Mahabhava Prakas when Lord Chaitanya was sitting on the throne in Srivas Thakur's home, and Mukunda was standing near the door, and the Lord kept not calling him because he used to associate a little loosely with different groups like the Mayavadis and things. So the Lord was benedicting all the different devotees that were coming before them, telling them who they were in their past lives, how they'd served him for so long. And everybody finally came up and said, well, Mukunda is standing at the door. And can he come in? And Lord Chaitanya said, no, he won't be allowed to come for 1,000 births. Oh, no, he won't be. He can't come. He can't come. They went out and they told Mukunda that he couldn't come. He started to cry. They went and they asked Lord Chaitanya again. He's crying. He wants to come. No, Lord Chaitanya said, he can come see me in 1,000 births. And then they brought that news to Mukunda and they said, the Lord said you can come to him in 1,000 births. And he started chanting and dancing in ecstasy. And when Lord Chaitanya saw that, he said, okay, bring him now.
Right. Yeah.
It
This is
was an
actually,
ex it was
go
an
ahead, Mary.
ecstasy because there's a chance for my
Yeah.
Lord Chaitanya has not completely rejected me. All I have to do is wait 1,000 births. Oh no. So yeah, we
Yeah.
have to be patient with.
It's a
I
really
always say,
interesting thing.
yeah, you have to
Uh,
be patient dealing with eternity. Makes
but
sense.
Prabhupada also said it's possible in one life. There's a letter from Srila Prabhupada to the former president of India, I think it was, and he sent him a Back to Godhead magazine. And he said, I'm calling this magazine Back to Godhead. And he said, you may think me a madman, but for thinking that I could go back to Godhead in this life, but it's possible for everyone.
Wow.
So it's possible, and he had hopes, but at the same time, at least personally, I'm sort of, I don't know. I don't know. I'm resigning myself to the fact that it's not impossible that it'll take multiple lives, but
If we follow Prabhupada's instructions, we have to at least hope
yes,
against hope
absolutely.
that we will
What,
qualify to serve Krishna.
what's nice in this analogy is that during the rainy season, it goes on day after day after day, week after week after week, and you get kind of used to that as being normal. But what's being described here now is that as the season changes, the sky becomes blue, the rain clouds leave, the air becomes cooler, the lotus flowers come back into the ponds. So in the same way, although we're in this material world and we're thinking it's our normal condition, at the time of death, hopefully those clouds will all dissipate, the rain will go away, the lotus flower of Krishna will arise in our hearts, and then we'll go back to Godhead.
Yeah. Can I very quickly share
Yeah.
a favorite shloka here that I think applies here also? This is actually one of my favorite in the whole Bhagavatam, and it's from second canto, 8th chapter,
Mm.
whereas Pravishta Karnaranjana Swanambhava Sarovarham Dunoti Samalam Krishna Salilasya Yata Sharat. That the Srimad Bhagavatam, the sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Souls, enters into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship, and thus cleanses the dust of material association, such as lust, anger, and hankering. Thus it acts just like autumnal rains upon pools of muddy water.
Mm. How
So I
appropriate.
love that, and it seems to be echoing the analogy being made here in this chapter also. So
That's beautiful.
I like that.
Okay, let's go on with the next one. Thank you. And you continue reading.
Continue. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 10, Canto 10, Chapter 20, Text 34, Sararta Darshani. Autumn cleared the sky of clouds, let the animals get out of their crowded living conditions, cleaned the earth of its covering of mud, and purified the water of contamination. In the same way that loving service rendered to Lord Krishna frees the members of the four spiritual orders from their respective troubles. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. The autumn season removed the clouds in the sky, the crowded living conditions, the mud from the earth, and the cloudy water. This is like bhakti, arising through devotional association, which removes the suffering produced by executing one's duties in the four ashrams. However, when one becomes fully Krishna conscious, he is no longer obligated to perform the various duties of a particular ashram, be it brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, or sannyas. Krishna book. Everything becomes naturally beautiful with the appearance of the autumn season. Similarly, when a materialistic person takes to Krishna consciousness and spiritual life, he also becomes as clear as the sky and water in autumn. The autumn season takes away the rolling of dark clouds in the sky, as well as the polluted water. Filthy conditions on the ground also become cleansed. Similarly, a person who takes to Krishna consciousness immediately becomes cleansed of all dirty things within and without. Krishna is therefore known as Hari. Hari means he who takes away. Krishna immediately takes away all unclean habits from anyone who takes to Krishna consciousness.
Very, very interesting that Srila Prabhupada discusses this perfectly, and we can relate to it. Can you put it back to the text, Patty? We can see this reference to the four orders of spiritual life. Now, in the Kali Yuga, in this present day, nobody has what to speak of any kind of duty. People are denying all their duty, but the four ashrams of life, nobody even knows about that. What to speak of duty toward them. So Prabhupada is so aware and preaching to the people at hand. You know, what can you say about the comparison of the two, Acharya?
I don't know. It's just it's beautiful, and I love how it's echoing. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago when Prabhupada wrote that beautiful explanation from Krishna book that I think we read, that the people, when they came to the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they looked very dirty and wretched. But then when they start chanting and they come with neck beads and tilak, and they look like angels from Vaikuntha.
Right.
So it would remind me of that. And also, we can also, what Prabhupada says here that I just read, you can also apply that back to what we were discussing about, will it take one life? Will it take 10 lives, 100, 1,000,000? So here he's saying Krishna takes it, Krishna does it. He takes it all away immediately. I think he said immediately, didn't he?
Well, there's always that verse, yatam mam prapadyante, that, to the extent that we surrender to Krishna,
Sure.
And we engage, surrendering means engaging in devotional service, those duties, those are the duties that we must perform to achieve this high goal of life. Wonderful. And anyone else have something to say about this? Okay, so let's go on. Thakur Murari, are you able to read for us? Thakur?
Yeah, hello.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so sorry about last week, and I'm back home, so.
Okay, good. Nice to have you.
Just give me a moment, please. Just give me a couple of seconds.
Do you want us to come back to you, or you're okay? Oh, you're muted, Prabhu.
Okay, I'm back now. So, okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 10.20.35, Sarasa Darshini. The clouds having given up all they possessed, shown forth with purified effulgence, just like peaceful sages who have given up all material desires and are thus free of all sinful propensities. Vishwanath Chakrabarti. As munis become purified by giving up all sinful propensities, material desires to attain sons, wealth, and followers. Similarly, after expelling all the rain, the clouds become pure and white in color. This is a positive analogy. 10.20.36, Sarata Darshini. During this season, the mountains sometimes release their pure water and sometimes did not. Just as experts in transcendental science sometimes give the nectar of transcendental knowledge and sometimes do not. Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. Gyanahamitam here refers to teachings about the Supreme Lord, and Yaninaha means experts in devotional wisdom such as Narada, Prahalad, and Jadbharat. They gave knowledge to the hunter Rahugana, and the children of the demons, but not to others. They give to those fortunate souls who desire to know. In a similar way, in autumn, the clear water from the mountains only flows in some canals.
Okay. So they gave
Okay.
to the fortunate souls who desire to know. Can you explain that? And not others.
So we see, for example, take ourselves, want to say as an example, of all the many billions of persons in the world, we are here, listening to Krishna Katha. So I would say, yes, we are fortunate, without a doubt, to be able to be attracted and not be attracted. And for those of you Prabhu that have been there 40, 50 years, yeah, we're really fortunate. So we are fortunate in a sense. And you say many are called, few are chosen, and many are exposed, a few sort of get attracted. So that's my it.
Thank you. We are most
Yeah.
fortunate. Thank
Yes.
you. That's just what I wanted to hear. We have to remind ourselves how fortunate we are to be able to discuss transcendental topics. This is not an ordinary thing. So we are very fortunate. Thank you, Murari. Let's go on with Tisha reading the next slide from the Krishna book.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Okay, Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:20, verse 35 through 39. The clouds of autumn are white, for they do not carry any water. Similarly, a retired man being freed from all responsibility of family affairs, namely maintaining the home, wife, and children, and taking completely to Krishna consciousness, becomes freed from all anxieties and looks as white as clouds in autumn. Sometimes in autumn, the falls come down from the top of the hill to supply clean water, and sometimes they stop. Similarly, sometimes great saintly persons distribute clear knowledge, and sometimes they are silent. The small ponds, which were filled with water because of the rainy season, gradually dry up in autumn. As for the tiny aquatics living in the reservoirs, they cannot understand that their numbers are diminishing day by day, as the materially engrossed persons cannot understand that their duration of life is being reduced day by day. Such persons are engaged in maintaining cows, property, children, wife, society, and friendship. Due to the reduced water and scorching heat from the sun in the autumn season, the small creatures living in small reservoirs of water are much disturbed. They are exactly like uncontrolled persons who are always unhappy from being unable to enjoy life or maintain their family members. The muddy earth gradually dries up, and newly grown fresh vegetables begin to wither. Similarly, for one who has taken to Krishna consciousness, desire for family enjoyment gradually dries up.
Patti, leave this slide on here. First of all, why would saintly people be silent to preach this philosophy? That sounds a little bit contradictory. Why would someone be silent and sometimes not in preaching?
Saintly people don't preach to people who aren't ready to receive or understand the philosophy, what life is all about. They're too engaged in material enjoyment.
Good girl. In other words, it's one of the offenses against the holy name to preach to the faithless, right? Even though it might sound contradictory, but it's an offense to the holy name to preach to someone who is not ready to hear about it. That's why we have prasadam distribution and other methods to awaken Krishna consciousness in others. Thank you, teacher. That was really good. I'm glad you got that one. That was good. Okay, then there was another. Oh, I can't understand my writing. Patti, you have a question about this one?
No, but Acharya has his hand raised.
Okay, Acharya. Oh, yeah. Okay.
I was just thinking, this is just my thoughts, that another reason that a devotee may sometimes be silent is that a preacher also has to take care of his own internal sadhana as well. And we've seen the example in the history of ISKCON of people, running around madly preaching, but maybe not taking care of their sadhana, not taking care of their reading, their chanting, whatever. So that's also silence from preaching is also part of, taking care of your own sadhana.
Good example.
Good.
Yeah.
That's very good. Very important. You
No.
have to go on, Patti.
No, go ahead.
No, go on.
No, that's good. I love that example. Perfect. Another correlation that I'm picking up as we're reading through this and that topic comes up is that just like in life, there are tides and currents of so many different types. And we see that Srila Prabhupada, as an example, was invited and instructed actually in 1922 by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta to preach in English. But that, by nature's arrangement, by Krishna's plan, didn't fructify until he actually made it to America. He did some preaching, no doubt. He was doing some preaching, but the ground wasn't fertile, as he put it. And therefore, when he came to the West, it took him some time even here, but it was 1966 before things really started to take off, some 44 years later. So it's not only the preachers, it's not only the devotees, it's also divine plan. And that goes back to what we were just talking about, how fortunate we are. In this age, unbelievable. You can have access to the Vedas by clicking a button. Can you imagine? Bhaktivinoda Thakur was preaching in a place called, I forget the name of it, Dana Bangar or something. He was a teacher. And there was a Gaudiya Vaishnav in that town telling him, you have to get Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he was a government official. He was connected. It took him 6 years to find a copy that someone had of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So here we are. You click a button, you can hear it, you can read it, you can access it. The time is ripe for taking advantage. Just like in the autumn season, everything's so nice. Acharya was just telling us his garden, that the land is ready now for planting and tending to it so that it will grow. There's time, place, and circumstance involved in these things as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. The thing I wanted to say was that there's so much energy being placed on taking care of our material situation. Mm-hmm. That's the whole reason for life. How to take care of our material situation and survive. It is so much energy is being put in that direction. And once we get an opportunity to hear from a devotee, it is so contradictory to what we've been living since time immemorial, practically speaking. But one has to be ready and ripe and a kinchana gochara. That means materially exhausted to hear about the nectar that we are always anxious for, the real nectar of life. All right, let's go on. And Manvantaraji with the next verse. Thank you. Would you like to read Manvantara?
With the arrival of autumn, the ocean and the lakes became silent. Okay, so text 40 through 43. With the arrival of autumn, the ocean and the lakes became silent, their water still, just like a sage who has desisted from all material activities and given up his recitation of Vedic mantras. In the same way that the practitioners of yoga bring their senses under strict control to check their consciousness from flowing out through the agitated senses, the farmers erected strong mud banks to keep the water within their rice field from draining out. Free of clouds and filled with clearly visible stars, the autumn sky shone brilliantly, just like the spiritual consciousness of one who has directly experienced the purport of the Vedic scriptures. Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. As the heart, which directly experiences conclusive Vedic wisdom, is endowed with spiritual goodness and shines brilliantly, so the moon and stars shine brightly in the cloudless sky of autumn. The sky is compared to the heart. The absence of clouds is compared to excellence, and the autumn season is compared to the Vedas. The stars are compared to Niskama Karma, Jnana Yoga, and Tapa Yoga. And the moon, the leader of all the stars, is compared to Bhakti.
My goodness. Okay, so real quick, what is the purport of the Vedas? Real quick.
Krishna is the moon, Bhakti is the best.
Okay, that's good. That's perfect. The essence of the Vedas is to love Krishna. Very good. Anyone else have something to say about this before we move on? Because it's a little confusing because some of the verses have to do with each other and some of them are a little bit different. But is there something else that you'd like to say about this verse before we move on? Back to the verse. How it's being described here. The heart is directly the conclusive wisdom, the spiritual goodness that shines brilliantly. Anyone? All right. Let's
before
go
you
on.
go,
Oh, there you go, Murari.
yeah, quickly. So, we notice those comparisons are so real. So, it's not anything that we have to be thinking about. So, we talk about heart and the clouds, whatever comparison it is so known to us. In other words, when we make the comparisons, it's so easy to connect with.
Which
Because there are things
comparison?
that, yes, the comparison between the clouds and the heart or whichever, those different comparisons, I'm saying it's so easy to connect with because there are things that we are familiar with.
Because of what?
The things that we are familiar with, the things that
familiar,
are
yeah.
known to us. Yeah, so
Good.
easy to connect with those comparisons.
Good. That's true with all of these different verses that we're reading.
Yeah.
Because we're familiar with nature, and it's a splendid, magnificent part of the Bhagavatam, comparing nature to the evolution of the soul and hearing from self-realized souls. It's just remarkable, this whole passage. Thank you for that. Okay. Anyone else? Let's go on. Madhurya, would you like to read? Madhurya Leela, are you there? She might not be hearing me. Okay, we'll come back.
Yes, sorry.
Oh,
It's
there
hard
you
to
are.
unmute. Okay. Thanks. The Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:20, 44 to 45. During the daytime in autumn, the sun is very scorching, but at night, due to the clear moonshine, people get relief from the day's fatigue. If a person takes shelter of Mukunda or Krishna, he can be saved from the fatigue of misidentifying the body with the self. Mukunda or Krishna is also the source of solace to the damsels of Vrindavan. The damsels of Brajabhumi are always suffering because of separation from Krishna. When they meet Krishna during the moonlit autumn night, their fatigue of separation is also satiated. When there are ample blooming flowers in the gardens and the forest, the fresh aromatic breeze giving a great relief to the person who has suffered during the summer and rainy season. Unfortunately, such breezes could not give any relief to the gopis because of their heart's dedication to Krishna. People in general might have taken pleasure in that nice autumn breeze, but the gopis, not being embraced by Krishna, were not very satisfied.
Goodness. So leave these words here. One thing, it's exhausting identifying the body with the self. Can you say something about that? How is that happening? How is it exhausting to identify the body with the self?
Where do you see that? Oh, yeah, okay. Just read it. He can save him from the fatigue of misidentifying with the body, the source of soul.
Do you experience that? Maybe that's why I'm always exhausted. Identifying with the body with the self.
I mean, yeah, it's exhausting because the body, the mind is always pushing to do this or that, and it's not very calm and satisfied. It's just being engaged in the devotional service. So there's a lot of pushings
Right.
because of the material nature.
Yeah, very good. It is exhausting. It's thoroughly exhausting. We spend so much energy because we think that we're this body and we have to satisfy all of these different needs of the body when the whole thing is an illusion. I've been seeing that lately, and it's a fascinating thing, and it is exhausting. We're all wiped out on this planet because we're going the wrong direction really fast, Really an amazing thing. All right, so what else we got here?
Caitlin raised her hand.
Caitlin, did you want to say something, sweetie? Yes.
Oh, Hare Krishna. I was just thinking because it's exhausting because we put so much energy into it and nothing satisfies the real desire, the soul desire. And then, in this verse or in the purport, it goes on to say that the gopis were, they were never satisfied by anything, by these beautiful autumnal breezes, because they were really thirsty for that real, they were actually acknowledging their soul's desire, right? Our real true desire, our true nature.
It's interesting. Prabhupada would talk about how this kind of anxiety for Krishna, that's purifying. As you're saying, exhaustion in two different ways, right? So you're saying the exhaustion in the material world from trying to deal with all these problems, and how is that not the same exhaustion for the gopis?
Because they are, properly situated. Their consciousness is properly situated, and they are, they are searching they want that true connection. So it's a different type of, I mean, I don't know. How is it? That is a good question. How, because their desire, is it ever satisfied? Their desire for Krishna, is it ever satisfied? And then our desires for material satisfaction is never satisfied.
Wow, they look the same. They look the same, but they're not the same. They're not. There's no material exhaustion from that dissatisfaction. That's spiritually elevated.
One of the evidences of that is that people who are materially frustrated are constantly in anxiety, disturbed. They take to other means to try and satisfy them, like drugs or alcohol or some other means. Whereas the gopis, they want more and more of Krishna. It's not that they're dissatisfied. They're hankering for Krishna. When they get Krishna, they want him more and more and more. And naturally, in love, separation and meeting increase and nourish one another. But their frustrations and their lack of satisfaction is not due to anything material. It's due to wanting more of Krishna, not less of him.
Isn't that something?
Or
So
something else. We keep bouncing around the world, bouncing around the universe, trying to find some pleasure someplace.
My experience is also that when we're preparing, planning, and cooking for these big, huge feasts, that it is very, it's very, we're cooking all day and a lot of exhausting service, but it doesn't feel that way because it's for Krishna and we're engaged with other devotees, and in the end, it's very enlivening.
Yeah. Apparently the same kind of thing has two different results. In spiritual life, that kind of frustration to please Krishna is purifying and adds to our love for him. In the material world, there's no happiness whatsoever in that kind of frustration. It's just more difficulties. It's interesting. Thank you. Very good. Okay, let's move on with Nanda reading the next one. Nandaji, will you read for us?
Yes, ma'am. 10th canto, chapter 20, verses 46 and 47. And this is from Saratha Darshini. By the influence of the autumn season, all the cows, doe, women, and female birds become fertile and were followed by their respective mates in search of sexual enjoyment. Just as I remember reading this and thinking, boy, I hope I get to read this. Okay. All right. Sorry. Just as activities performed for the service of the Supreme Lord are automatically followed by all beneficial results. If you don't mind, I'm going to read that again. Okay. By the influence of the autumn season, all the cows, doe, women, and female birds became fertile and were followed by their respective mates in search of sexual enjoyment, just as activities performed for the service of the Supreme Lord are automatically followed by all beneficial results. O King Parikshit, when the autumn sun rose, all the lotus flowers blossomed happily, except the night blooming kumut. Just as in the presence of a strong ruler, everyone becomes fearless except the thieves. And here's some of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comments. The cows, doe, and female birds, though unwilling, were forcibly engaged in copulation by their respective mates and became pregnant. This is compared to the worship of the Lord, which, though performed without desire for results, yields many material results such as happiness. You're giggling, Swarga. The night lotus flowers are compared to thieves. This idea comes from the syllable ku, which means low class, and mud, which means joy. Low-class fellows, like thieves, find pleasure at night by stealing, just as all people except the thieves are happy when a powerful king sits on the throne. When the sun rises in the morning, all lotuses become happy and bloom except the night blooming lotus.
Wow. But Nandaji, that first paragraph that you read twice, that's what we were just talking about. That exact same kind of thing, where service to Krishna, by performing that kind of service to Krishna automatically is beneficial, and service to any other material thing is not. Can you talk about something?
That being said, can we put it back up, Dhruva Prabhu? That being said, that is you have to admit, it's a very unusual example. I'm sorry. That's how it struck me. I should say that, okay? I should say that. For me, it was a really what? I had to read it a few times. What? I had to listen to it a few times. What?
Okay, well, Prabhupada also talks about that sex life is the thing that keeps us in the material world. Of course, we know there's somewhat subtle sex life, and I think as you get older, that's what we're dealing with more and more. But these are the two very important issues here. So solve it for us.
what I was going to say is in his and it gets more bewildering in Srila Vishwanath Thakur's comments, because he said they even unwillingly were forcibly engaged in copulation by their respective mates and they became pregnant. And then he just flips it all around and makes it a very positive example. Says it's compared to worship of the Lord, which though performed without desire for results, yields many material results such as happiness and enjoyment. It's just as Acharya said in his little comment there in the chat, a very uncomfortable metaphor. It's just unusual because every single, many other places in the Bhagavatam, like you said, Sama, sex life and gross material sex life is always spoken very disparagingly, and to use an example of even unwillingly being forced to copulate with your mate and then saying it's just like devotional service, it blooms forth.
Well, what's the result of copulation? What's the result that would be beneficial? Yeah, so that all women, even women deers and cows and all species, the female wants to have a baby. So that would be the comparison, that she is satisfied that she had a wonderful result and had to go through all that, and she thinks it's a wonderful result. That's the example that I see. Go on.
I don't have anything else.
Okay. All right. Well, would you like to read the next verse?
Sure.
Okay.
Chapter 20, verse 49 and 50. In Vrindavan, the autumn season was very beautiful. In Vrindavan, the autumn season was very beautiful then because of the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna and Balaram. The mercantile community, the royal order, and the great sages were free to move to achieve their desired benedictions. Similarly, the transcendentalists, when freed from the encagement of the material body, also achieved their desired goal. During the rainy season, the mercantile community cannot move from one place to another, and so do not get their desired profit. Nor can the royal order go from one place to another to collect taxes from the people. As for saintly persons who must travel to preach transcendental knowledge, they also are restrained by the rainy season. But during the autumn, all of them leave their confines. In the case of the transcendentalist, be he a jnani, a yogi, or a devotee, because of the material body, he cannot actually enjoy spiritual achievement. But as soon as he gives up the body, or after death, the jnani merges into the spiritual effulgence of the Supreme Lord. The yogi transfers himself to the various higher planets, and the devotee goes to the planet of the Supreme Lord, Goloka Vrindavan, or the Vaikunthas, and thus enjoys his eternal spiritual life.
Okay, so that's hopeful. Please tell us all about that.
Well,
go on.
It seems that the emphasis on this point is now this is the benefit, just like Dhruva Prabhu was saying early, a few paragraphs back, how the rainy season, it inhibits everybody from moving around. They can't do what they want to do, but and again, what was emphasized, one has to be patient and continue on with their duties as in a restricted way. But then the fruit comes from performing those activities. The jnani will get this, and the yogi will get that, and the devotee ultimately will get the opportunity to go to the spiritual world. So patience, as you said, is the virtue there. Patience and determination and constant endeavor.
And faith that this will actually, we have to put our faith in something, right? This is worthy. Wow, it's very hopeful. Thank you, Nanda. That's very hopeful. Thank you. Anyone else have something to say about this? Because we're completing this chapter.
Okay.
Yes.
So it seems that whatever actions we perform, there are some results. So there has to be some reward at the end of your activities. So we are divided into three main personalities: the karmis, the gyanis, and the yogis, and the bhaktas. So we're saying that whatever activity that we are engaging, there is some result at the end of the day. So
Wow.
yes, but
Beautiful.
highest of all is to return to Goloka Vrindavan or the Vaikuntha planet. So yeah, Haribol.
Yes. Haribol.
Nice.
Very hopeful.
Yeah. Close it up.
Very hopeful. Good. All right, Patty, why don't you do the little bit of the summary and
Okay.
these charts at the end?
This is just a few of the verses 44 through 49. When the full moon shines in the sky, it's surrounded by stars. Similarly, Krishna, the lord of the Yadu dynasty, shone brilliantly on earth, surrounded by all the Vrishnis, Nanda, Upananda, Vasudeva, and Akrura. Except for the gopis, whose hearts were stolen by Krishna, the people could forget their sufferings by embracing the winds coming from the flower-filled forest. The wind was neither hot nor cold. 46, see if this clears it up. Enjoyment. Cows, doe, women, and female birds become fertile and were followed by their respective mates in search of sexual enjoyment. Enjoyment here compared to spiritual results. Activities performed for the service of the Supreme Lord with great enthusiasm, patience, conviction, following the rules and regulations, keeping oneself clean of material contamination, and staying in the association of devotees, are automatically followed by all beneficial results and benedictions of their destinations, which is important. It was a nice point that Murari Thakur just mentioned, that sometimes when we're performing these things, although we're not really being fruitive in any way other than trying, a fine line regarding fruitive endeavor. Anyabilasita sunyam jnana karmati anavritam. The question arises, if the soul is by nature desirous, it has desires, then how can you become desireless? Anybody have an answer for that? The nature of the soul is to desire. So how can you become desireless? You can't. So you have to dovetail your desire with Krishna's desire. Then that desire becomes one, in essence, with the desire of the supreme will, just like the Christian Lord's Prayer. Thy will be done. Means I'll surrender my will to his will. And in this way, the result that comes about is pleasing to him. It's not a fruitive endeavor to want to awaken our constitutional position and know it and engage with Krishna in that service. That's not fruitive. That's natural. So I just wanted to point out that there's a difference. There's a big difference. So it's not that we squelch or squish or try to kill desire. Desire is there. It's purified desire. So that's a nice example, enjoyment and spiritual results. 47, the autumn sun rose and all the lotus flowers bloomed happily, except the night blooming kumut. Similarly, a strong ruler's presence makes everyone become fearless, except the thieves. So the thieves are compared to the night blooming jasmine or
Can I say something in just in relation to that one statement? When the Kumbh Mela was going on and when the new Mumbai temple was being opening, we saw Modi, the president of India, do the first arti to the deities in the Mumbai temple, and at the Kumbh Mela, he was doing arti to the Ganges. And I'm not from India, but I have a connection. I felt so wonderful. It was dangerous how wonderful I felt. I was thinking, okay, I'll take birth in India in the next life. And then I all of a sudden said, no, I won't. but to have such a personality who was a dedicated devotee of Krishna, rule the country. This is again. I think I spoke about this last time. I have great hope for India and the world. So anyway, I felt that in that one verse that we just read. It was just wonderful. We have to have hope, and this is really, that was really very encouraging, and I felt safe. I felt safe because Modi's on the planet. It was really
Right. So
very
similarly,
much so.
what the ruler, the strong ruler's presence makes everyone fearless.
Yeah.
Okay, 48. Traditional festivals and sacrifices were performed for honoring and tasting the first grains of the new harvest. The earth, rich with newly grown grain and especially beautified by the presence of Krishna and Balaram, shone beautifully as an expansion of the Supreme Lord. And finally, 49, the last verse. Actually, there were 50. Oh, these because somebody else spoke. Merchants, sages, kings, and brahmachari students, kept in by the rain, were at last free to go out and attain their desired objects. Similarly, those who achieve perfection in this life can, when the proper time comes, leave this material body and attain their respective forms. It's beautiful. So this is the end of that chapter. But before we go on, there's one more slide I was working on that I want to share with everyone. At the beginning of the session here, if you weren't there, I described how this section of the rainy season and the autumn season are setting a scene. They're descriptive of the Vrindavan forest, which is the spiritual world on earth, where the Supreme Lord is manifesting his pastimes. And we're now entering chapter 21. There are 40 chapters before Krishna leaves Vrindavan. So the next 20 chapters, which we'll cover over this year, next year, and maybe the year after that, we'll see how it goes, how slowly we work through it, are going to be filled with more rasa. They're like the essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam. They're the heart of Srimad Bhagavatam, these next 20 chapters. So I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention so that if you want to, this is a very open way to present everything, but it's a suggestion to adapt and adjust your sadhana so that you can hear more of these chapters, because the opportunity doesn't come around a lot in life, because there's so many topics that are there in Krishna consciousness. But in that regard, I'll also be building a better understanding of rasa. So here's my little chart. There are basically 6 ingredients of rasa. I didn't finish this one. I'm going to build this as we go on week by week. But for this particular stage, out of the 6 ingredients of rasa, one is called vibhava. Subdivisions of vibhava are alambana and udipana. Udipana is what we're discussing today. These are topics and names we should learn. Udipana means the time, place, circumstance, and different aspects of life that enthuse the participants to love one another. So there's rainy season, the autumn season, the beautiful garden like Vrindavan Dham, with the beautiful lotus flower breezes blowing in the sky and throughout the whole forest, the beautiful smells from the flowers and the lotus flowers, the cool breezes, the blue sky, the coolish area encourages both Krishna and the gopis to engage. So Udipan, his dress is often considered Udipan. If you look it up in Nectar of Devotion, what enthuses the gopis? His bugle, his flute, his turban, his beautiful decorations, his color, the minerals on his face, his fragrance. All these different things are called Udipana. So I just wanted to bring that up one more time. This picture. Any questions on that particular, specifically on this?
Well, yes, describe very briefly Vaibhava and Alambana, since you
No,
already
I don't want to, I don't
Oh,
want
you
to do
don't
that.
describe-
Vibhava is the main category. Alambana, let's just say this is going to have subdivisions, which include the participants who is engaged in loving. And part of, so Bhava, okay, yes, I'm sorry. Vibhava includes the participants and what enthuses them. But because we're focused on this particular aspect of the rainy season and the autumn season in Srimad Bhagavatam right now, their focus is on the Udipana, on the atmosphere. Okay? And this will be next week we'll go over these two. The
But what would you say? What does Vibhava mean? What does
Vibhava mean, it means, I don't know. I'd have to look up the Sanskrit word.
That's an important thing to know, I think.
Okay, I'll look it up while we read the next
Okay.
section. So go ahead and read this and I'll look it up.
Okay. Entering the Swarga, you want to read?
Yeah, I think I'm finally here.
Okay.
Sort of.
You're fully there. I see you.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because all right. I'm glad that's happening.
Okay.
Okay. So chapter 21. The gopis attracted by the flute, Venugita. Okay. Okay. So we're starting with
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:20.
Darshini.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Sukadev Goswami continued. Thus the Vrindavan forest was filled with transparent autumnal waters and cooled by breezes perfumed with the fragrance of lotus flowers growing in clear lakes. The infallible Lord, accompanied by his cows and cowherd boyfriends, entered that Vrindavan forest. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. This chapter describes how the gopis, being pained by Krishna's flute song, repeatedly sing the glories of that flute. They also praised the animals, demigoddesses, and the forests of Vrindavan. Although staying in the village, the gopis relate what they see through the transcendental eyes of their hearts, namely the various charming pastimes Krishna enacts upon entering the forest of Vrindavan. After describing the beauty of the autumn season, Shukadev Goswami first describes Krishna's entrance into the Vrindavan forest, which is decorated with the sweetness of autumn, before portraying the pastimes of Krishna's flute song, which is intimately related to it. The wind became fragrant and cool by passing over the lotus-filled lakes. Krishna, along with his cows and cowherd boys, entered the forest, permeated by the sweetly scented breeze. The word Vayuna, wind, is singular instead of plural to indicate a very gentle breeze.
Oh, so beautiful. So I have a few questions. I have a few questions for you, Swargaji. Pained. The gopis were pained. Where does it say pained? Others of our is full transcendental waters. Pati, could you find the pained? Why were the gopis pained? Being pained by Krishna's flute song.
Okay.
We're talking all about these different materially pain and spiritual pain. What is this pain?
Yeah. So they praise the animals, the demigoddess. They also, the gopis. I'm trying to relate. I'm trying to find the words, the place that.
Pati, could you please put the words back on so she can see? We're coming. No, he's working on something. There you go. Right after Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, this chapter describes how the gopis being pained by Krishna's flute.
I see, right at the very beginning. Yes. because they're being called, they're in a circumstance that is not they're not free from obligations, from their dharma, so to speak. That they're not free, but their love, their heart, they're being called by Krishna, and the desire to go, the desire to be there and break free from the other obligations is causing the pain.
Okay, that's one. Does anyone have another explanation aside from the obligations to others, that the gopis might be feeling pained? Anyone have anything to say? Nanda, can you say something about that? The pain of the gopis? Why are the gopis being pained by Krishna's flute song?
The thing is that we're thinking of pain in our perception of pain, but their feelings of separation and anxiety is actually another side or another aspect of their ecstasy. It's so when we hear the word pain, we think, oh, they're being hurt and this and that in a negative sense, but their being pained and feeling separation is still in a positive sense, because just like there's one example of that Srimati Radharani says that when I'm with Krishna, I only see one Krishna. But when I'm separated from Krishna, I see Krishna everywhere, because their desire to be with him is so strong. So they're seeing him everywhere and they're wanting to be with him at the same time. So it's just our mundane, a lot of it is our mundane conception of what pain, for us, paining means, moroseness and this and that, but their pain, although it has moroseness in it, it's still ecstatic at the same time. I don't know.
It increases their desire for Krishna.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful. Good. Thank you. Okay, Swargaji, okay, thank you, Nanda. But I have to finish asking two more questions real quick. Swarga.
Okay. Yeah.
Eyes. Oh, can you put it back, Pati? What does it mean? The eyes of their hearts. Wait, there was another. Eyes of their transcendental hearts.
Yeah.
Although staying in the village, the gopis relate what they see through the transcendental eyes of their hearts. That was kind of far out. They're not with Krishna, but they're seeing him with the eyes of their hearts. How can you tell me? This is very deep stuff. What do you?
Right. Well, in relation to desire, like, I'm just thinking right now in relation to desire. When we have desire, there's vision there. There's vision. It's not that it's blank. There's vision, and so our transformation is to allow our vision to become transcendental and only in relation to Krishna.
Good.
Yeah.
That was good. That was very good. I see how you saw that. You just like the world saw it. It was great.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Kate, you have a question? Kate wants to ask something.
Yeah, I just have a question. Is this like the eyes of the heart? Are these like the spiritual senses
We hope so.
in some way?
Sometimes they
Yeah.
can be material if your eyes
Certainly they are in the gopis' point of view.
Right.
Yes.
We gotta watch those eyes.
You've heard the word sporty?
I don't think so.
Sporty is a Sanskrit word meaning to see within. In other words, one of the most famous one is Valmiki. When Valmiki was writing the Ramayana, Lord Brahma had instructed him to write it. And he told him, I'll empower you so that you can see each individual, their thoughts, their emotions, what they're feeling, what they're saying, all the events. He was sitting down in his ashram and he was seeing everything, just like Sanjaya. When Sanjaya was with Dhritarashtra, they were in the palace at Hastinapur because Dhritarashtra was blind. Everybody else was on
Good.
was at Kurukshetra, and the battle started. But Vyasadeva had empowered Sanjaya so that he
Good.
could see and understand everything going on in the battle. So that's sporti. It's a manifestation within the heart, and that's what the gopis are experiencing and describing that.
Faye also brought that one up. And let's hear from Chaita. Chaita, my darling, nice to have you back here for now, anyway.
Dandavat pranam, everyone.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Beautiful discussion here. I just thought of a quote from this book called The Little Prince. And the quote goes, it is only with the heart that one sees rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes.
Whoa.
Oh,
Beautiful.
it's nice.
That's good. And that's
Say that one again, Chata.
It is only with the heart that one sees rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eyes.
My goodness. Wow.
Very good. Is that the child's book?
Yeah.
Yes.
The Little
Yeah.
Prince.
Yes, The Little
I
Prince.
tell you, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you all.
Hare Krishna.
Uh,
Thakur, do you want to say something real quick?
Just another quote from what we refer to as the Holy Bible in the Beatitudes. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So the heart is that center where all these things, although we think we see through the eyes, but it's really the heart. So blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. That's another
I didn't
quotation.
get the first part of that.
It's within the
Blessed
heart.
are
that
the
they
pure in
say.
heart.
Those that are pure in
Blessed are
heart.
pure in
see the
heart.
Those
Lord.
are pure in
They shall
heart.
see.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, this is good. This is beautiful. Thank you.
One more point
Sure.
before we go on, because I just looked it up and found it. This vibhava, you asked what it means. It means to manifest. So the ingredients come from participants, from the place, and the subsequent reactions will be described later, like different bhavas, anubhava, sattvika bhava, sthaya bhava. But vibhava means to manifest. And who manifests or what manifests comes from the participants and from the environment or from the different things that excite them to really.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
just wanted to go back to that for a sec. Now we're back where we were.
Oh my
I
God.
think somebody else had their hand up, Thakur Murari.
Okay. Thakur,
Yeah.
did you want to say something else?
Sorry, I should have taken it down. Sorry.
Oh, you didn't take it down.
Okay,
You're done?
there we go.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go on with. Thank you, Swargaji. Thank you.
Mhm.
Now let's go on with Kate. Kate, you want to read?
What happened to Chaitya reading?
She's next. I got it right on my list, right here. I won't forget her. That's for sure. But thank you.
Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21-2, Sharada Darshini. The lakes, rivers, and hills of Vrindavan resounded with the sounds of maddened bees and flocks of birds moving about the flowering trees. In the company of the cowherd boys and Balaram, Mudhupati, Sri Krishna entered that forest. And
It's
while herding the
Madhupati.
cows, he began Madhupati.
Yeah.
Sri Krishna entered the forest, and while herding the cows, he began to vibrate his flute. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura comments, as Krishna entered the forest with its mountains, lakes, rivers, and flowering groves, he skillfully blended his flute song with the lovely sounds of Vrindavan's chirping birds and buzzing bees. The word Madhupati means the Lord of the Spring. The influence is that when Krishna, the personification of spring, entered the forest in the autumn, the forest became beautiful with spring flowers. Krishna went along with Balaram and the cowherd boys to herd the cows, but it is not mentioned here that they played flutes. Only Krishna played the flute. Therefore, the Venu Gita, Song of the Flute, and title of this chapter came from Krishna's flute only.
Why don't you go on? Pachi? Yeah.
Krishna book, Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21, 1-2. Krishna was very pleased with the atmosphere of the forest where flowers bloomed and bees and drones hummed very jubilantly. While the birds, trees, and branches were all looking very happy, Krishna tended the cows, accompanied by Sri Balaram and the cowherd boys, began to vibrate his transcendental flute. After hearing the vibration of the flute of Krishna, the gopis in Vrindavan remembered him and began to talk amongst themselves about how nicely Krishna was playing his flute. When the gopis were describing the sweet vibration of Krishna's flute, they also remembered their past times with him. Thus, their minds became disturbed, and they were unable to describe completely the beautiful vibrations. While discussing the transcendental vibration, they remembered also how Krishna dressed, decorated with a peacock feather on his head, just like a dancing actor, and with blue flowers pushed over his ear. His garment glowed yellow gold, and his necklace was garlanded with a Vaijayanti necklace. Dressed in such an attractive way, Krishna filled up the holes of his flute with the nectar emanating from his lips. So they remembered him entering the forest of Vrindavan, which is always glorified by the footprints of Krishna and his companions.
Goodness, this is beautiful. So we see that there was reference before how about the Udipan and the forest and the everything stimulating this whole situation for Ross, for relationship, for profound love. What can you say about these? These two they're both the same verses. So what can you say about that, Kate?
I feel very fortunate that I read those verses. They're very beautiful. Maybe Checha would have been more, she's probably more qualified than me. But it's, interesting how it's so beautiful how the gopis, they can't even, their memory becomes, they're just so absorbed that they can't even remember. Maybe you could put it back to the Krishna book part. I can't even remember what I read minutes ago. But their minds became disturbed and they were unable to describe the beautiful vibrations. They can't even, they were so absorbed that they couldn't even speak about it, or they had trouble describing how beautiful the flute sounded.
And that's a completely
but they were
conscious
like
thing.
in it. Yeah.
Right. That's a completely conscious not being able to describe.
Right. They were in it, but yet their mind was disturbed. So I don't.
When you're overwhelmed with joy and ecstasy, and you have percolations, and you're in total bliss and transcendental love of Krishna, this is one of the symptoms that you become stunned.
Mm-hmm.
They were stunned because we got a lot to look forward to. All the things we were experiencing on this mundane platform, it's a little dry compared to what we're getting. I mean, it's amazing. We can't conceive of it. We can't conceive of the joy that is just now coming. Tisha? Just a second, Kate. Don't go away. Tisha.
What I love about this is because I planned a flute festival for so many years of my life, and I've seen people play the flute. And in that paragraph, they describe the nectar emanating from Krishna's lips, playing the flute. And when you see someone playing the flute, it's kind of air that's filling the flute. And so when I read that, it just made me think about it so much, about the comparison of us playing a flute and just blowing the air into the flute. Although people, it is playing the flute people play with such emotion and such love and care. But to think about Krishna playing the flute and the air and the nectar emanating from his lips to me is so, the way it's written there is just so beautiful when you think about how you really play a flute.
He's the real flute player. He knows how to play a flute. Very wonderful. Thank you. All right. Anyone? Kate, you have something else to say before Chaitamayi will read for us if she wants to.
No, I would like to hear what others have to say.
Okay. Okay, let's go on. Chaita, would you like to read, my darling?
Haribol, with your blessings. And just thanks to all the devotees who are sending blessings and good wishes my way. Really appreciate it. So we're on Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 21, 3, and 4, Sararta Darshini. When the young ladies in the cowherd village of Raj heard the song of Krishna's flute, which arouses the influence of Cupid, some of them privately began describing Krishna's qualities to their intimate friends. The cowherd girls began to speak about Krishna, but when they remembered his activities, O king, the power of Cupid disturbed their minds, and thus they could not speak. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, hearing Krishna's flute song, the gopis began describing indirectly to their friends about Krishna entering the forest. The word paroksha, indirectly, is used because the gopis were located far away from Krishna in the village of Raj. When the gopis attempted to describe the song of the flute, they could not do so because their hearts became overcome with strong desires for Krishna.
This next verse connects to it, so go ahead, keep going.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10, 21, 5, and 6, Sararta Varshini. Wearing a peacock feather ornament upon his head, blue karnikara flowers on his ears, a yellow garment as brilliant as gold, and the Vajjayanti garland, Lord Krishna exhibited his transcendental form as the greatest of dancers as he entered the forest of Vrindavan, beautifying it with the marks of his footprints. He filled the holes of his flute with the nectar of his lips, and the cowherd boys sang his glories. O king, when the young ladies in Vraj heard the sound of Krishna's flute, which captivates the minds of all living beings, they all embraced one another and began describing it. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, seeing that the gopis could not speak, Sri Shukdev Goswami, being omniscient, began the description of Krishna's pastimes according to the mood of their intense love. Krishna was bedecked with a peacock feather and a karnikara flower on his ears. Karnikara flower is singular, whereas karnayo, ears, is in the dual form, to indicate that sometimes Krishna wore one karnikara flower on the left ear and sometimes on the right ear to express the intoxication of his youth. He wore a Vajjayanti garland made of flowers of 5 different colors. Thus, Krishna's beautiful body looked like the best of dancers.
Okay, please leave this slide up. I have been trying to find this last section of the verse, O king, when the young ladies in Braj heard the sound of Krishna's flute, which captivates the minds of all living beings, they all embraced one another and began describing it. To me, that is the essence of love between devotees.
Ah,
That is it. That's why we love each other. That's what we want to give to each other, and that's what we want to take to each other from each other. That kind of love with Krishna in the center. Would you like to say something else about this? What struck you, Chaita? We'd love to hear from you.
thank you. I'm a little stunned just looking at this beautiful painting that Dhruva chose to put up for this this paragraph. It's just intoxicating to look at that. And if that's any indication, then yeah, one becomes you become, there's nothing you can say. You just become, this is samadhi. We need to become so absorbed in that beauty that there is nothing else for us. And it's so great to be with other devotees, to be able to share that samadhi, that intoxication, that all absorbing. It's consuming. Love of Krishna is consuming, and it consumes all negative thoughts in our minds and all our anxieties. And this is the atmosphere in the material, in the spiritual world, and we're trying our best with temples and satsang to produce that experience for the devotees, because the devotees are our lifeline, and the more we nourish our satsanga with this atmosphere that we create, the more we can release our negative mindsets and know that our satsanga and our temples, these are our, how do you say, our asylum. This is our asylum.
Very good. Our asylum. Our safe place. And this is what we can do with each other.
Safe place.
And Prabhupada wanted to spread this all over the world. We have to remember the love. We just have to remember the love. Nobody's going to join this movement like that. Everyone's going to join the movement because they want to share in the love. So how are we going to do that? We have to love each other. And how do we do that? Keep Krishna in the center. Oh, this is getting better and better. Nandaji, what can you say?
I just wanted to say that I was very struck by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment on the Karnikara flower being singular and the ears being plural. And it just reminded me of how because he can say that because he's so absorbed in the pastimes himself that he catches those little nuances in the Sanskrit, and then I thought of how we're so fortunate and it's so necessary to hear from the realized souls that can see those points. But it just adds to the details and the also for us, for our appreciation for those great realized souls who can see those details, because it makes it so much sweeter.
Definitely. Thank you. And thank you, Chaita. That was beautiful. Let's go on because well, let me see. Faye, are you able to read, Faye? I don't know if she can read.
Me, Mataji, but my voice is not good.
Do you want to read?
No, she said her voice isn't good, Sama.
Oh, okay, sweetie. Okay, but it's nice to have you here, my darling. Okay, well, this goes with the next with the previous one. Cheta, do you want to finish that for us? It's part of the other purport.
Thank you for your patience. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur continues. The use of the word vibrat, war, indicates that Krishna purposefully dressed in an artful way to display his youthful charms in order to incite the romantic desires of the gopis. Since the gopis might have criticized the flute for having holes in it, Krishna filled the holes with the nectar of his lips. Though the flute is non-living, the touch of the nectar of Krishna's lips brought it to life and empowered it to madden the three worlds. I like that, maddens the three worlds. Then, considering the flute to be dull, lifeless, and unqualified for such work, the vibration exudes from its holes and enters the ears and minds of the Vraj gopis. The implication is that the flute vibration makes itself successful in accomplishing its purpose of fully exhibiting its powers by conquering the Vraj gopis with Cupid.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Isn't that something? So Krishna is actually luring us or luring them. We have to allow ourselves to be lured by Krishna. Yay. That would be nice. Anything else you'd like to say about that section? Cheta?
It's so powerful how Krishna empowers the flutes, and likewise, if we allow ourselves to become instruments, Krishna will empower us
Right.
to bring everyone closer to him.
Or those who are ready. Everyone, even Prabhupada said it, it's not possible, everyone. But
good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're taking a long time this time. But it gets better and better. Acharya, would you like to read for us? Thank you, Cheta.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 21, Text 7, Sarartha Darshini. The cowherd girls said, "O friends, those eyes that see the beautiful faces of the sons of Maharaj Nanda are certainly fortunate. As these two sons enter the forest surrounded by their friends, driving the cows before them, they hold their flutes to their mouths and glance lovingly upon the residents of Vrindavan. For those who have eyes, we think that there is no greater object of vision." Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. My only goal in life is the Vraja Gopis, who being attracted by the nectar shower from Krishna's flute ran out of their houses, and whose sweet words repeated here enable us to relish that nectar too. Quote, the gopis meant to say, "O friends, if you simply remain in the shackles of family life in this material world, what will you ever get to see? The Creator has granted us these eyes, so let us see the most wonderful thing there is to see, Krishna." The gopis were aware that their mothers-in-law or sisters-in-law might hear their romantic words and disapprove. So to hide their true feelings, they said, "To see Krishna is the goal for all persons and not simply ourselves." That is the superficial meaning, but the hidden implication is, those faces give bliss to everyone in Vrindavan forest, even the birds and beasts, but not to us, staying in our houses far away.
Okay, read the next one.
Krishna book, from 10th Canto, Chapter 21, Text 7. One of the gopis told her friends, "The highest perfection of the eyes is to see Krishna and Balaram entering the forest and playing their flutes and tending the cows with their friends." Persons who are constantly engaged in the transcendental meditation of seeing Krishna internally and externally, by thinking of him playing the flute and entering the Vrindavan forest, have really attained the perfection of samadhi. Samadhi, trance, means absorption of all the activities of the senses on a particular object. And the gopis indicate that the pastimes of Krishna are the perfection of all meditation and samadhi. It is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita that anyone who is always absorbed in the thought of Krishna is the topmost of all yogis.
Oh my goodness. And this is the crux of everything. So Prabhupada one time said that the gopis, who are the topmost devotees, they're attracted by what of Krishna? By his what? Not only the flute. What is attractive to the gopis? What attracts the gopis? You know?
So many things. I don't know what you're.
Yeah, I think you got to be a little more
getting at
clear.
Yeah, but I don't want to say his beauty. His beauty. They're attracted by his beauty, and that this whole thing. This is the topmost devotees saying how they're attracted to Krishna by his beauty, and because Krishna is non-different from his name, they're attracted to his holy name, which is the most beautiful. This is a great topic. So what can you say about that?
Oh, I don't know. There's one thing that, as you were speaking, crossed my mind is the description of the qualities of Krishna and how there's in that list of 64 qualities, there's 4 of them that are
Yeah.
special and unique to Krishna himself. And one of them is Krishna's beauty, his
Yes.
Rupa Madhurya. The other, because this is the Venu Gita, the other is his flute playing. The other is his loving devotees, like the gopis that we're hearing about, and Rupa Madhurya, Prema Madhurya. And the 4th one is escaping me.
Pastimes.
The loving pastimes, right? The ecstatic pastimes.
Very nice. Oh,
Very
that's
nice.
good. All right.
Also, could you quickly go back to the first page, the page before this one? Yeah, that beginning of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary, it's like he's taking a break from the commentary and he's
Yeah.
speaking himself. I
Right.
love that so much that
Yeah.
he's like, he said, he's talking about, I'm assuming he's talking about himself, saying, my only goal in life is the Vraja Gopis.
He
Like
is.
he's taking a break from commenting and just like expressing himself here. That really hit me.
That's beautiful. You know, this supports that one statement also supports. People might be thinking that having these readings is a very intellectual pursuit, but it's not at all. It's a deep, heartfelt pursuit. We're going into our hearts with this. That's why we're all happy and we're all in it together. We're going into the depths of our hearts where love for Krishna is residing. So this is not an external intellectual pursuit based on reading and all this stuff. No, this is the essence of everything.
Right.
And now we got to the essence of the essence of the essence of everything, and there's still more to go. Holy Krishna. All right, good. Let's go on and try to finish this section. It's just irresistible today. Okay, let's start again then. How about Tisha, would you like to read?
Before we go on, just one quick point that we
Okay.
kind of went over too quick. Was it mentioned that the gopis were so pained because Krishna was separated from them that they couldn't speak, and now we're hearing them speak. So it's described here, seeing that the gopis could not speak, Sri Sukadeva Goswami, being omniscient, began the description of Krishna's pastimes according to their mood of their intense love. And then a description of him. So just as we were speaking before about Sporti with Valmiki, Sanjaya, here Sukadeva Goswami is doing the same thing.
Nice.
So Tisha?
Wow, that's not a run-of-the-mill thing that right there.
No, it's-
That was pretty deep. We're getting okay. Go on, Tisha.
Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21, verse 8, Sarata Darshini. Dressed in a charming variety of garments, upon which their garlands rest, and decorating themselves with peacock feathers, lotuses, lilies, newly grown mango sprouts, and clusters of flower buds, Krishna and Balaram shine forth magnificently among the assembly of cowherd boys. They look just like the best of dancers appearing on a dramatic stage, and sometimes they sing. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. One gopi said, "But how will we deal with this disgrace? We should not go." A second gopi replied, "No, we should go anyway." The first gopi said, "Because Krishna is with Baladev, our motive in going will not be fulfilled." The second gopi replied, "Therefore, while remaining concealed, we can peer through the leaves of the creepers and taste the nectar of Krishna's beauty, hear his singing and see his dancing. Then we can quickly return home." That is the intention of this verse. Sneaky gopis.
Hi. All right, go read the next verse. Also.
10:21-9 starts the Darshini. My dear gopis, what auspicious activities must the flute have performed to enjoy the nectar of Krishna's lips independently and leave only a taste for us gopis, for whom that nectar is actually meant. The forefathers of the flute, the bamboo trees, shed tears of pleasure. His mother, the river on whose bank the bamboo was born, feels jubilation, and therefore her blooming lotus flowers are standing like hair on her body. Vishwanath Bhakti Thakur's commentary. The gopis said, "This flute has created a problem for us, drowning us in an ocean of disgrace. What auspicious activities did the Venu perform to become Krishna's wife? It did not do anything auspicious because it took birth as a non-moving creature, a low birth resulting from a lack of piety. Yet that flute drinks the nectar of Damodar's lips. Can we tolerate that? No, because it is the gopis' right to taste that nectar. After all, Krishna was born as a gopa, and we were born as gopis. Therefore, we have the right to taste those lips, not the flute." The flute then brazenly announced the fact to the real owners of the treasure, namely us, by blowing air. It is not just the ordinary sound of blowing air. It is the cries of the bliss the flute experiences in association with Krishna. And we are forced to hear that sound. The flute is enjoying so much that it leaves nothing left, not even a morsel. Though we are the rightful claimants of the nectar of Krishna's lips, that flute leaves nothing for us, not even his own remnants. Such is his audacity.
Hare Krishna.
Wow.
What do you think about that, Tisha?
I think the description is so overwhelmingly beautiful about the flute and just the whole exchange between Krishna and the flute and the air and playing it. I just think that's so beautiful to me. And then when you hear a flute and you think about it, you are, of course, your heart opens. You understand, you love. It helps you paint the picture.
Right.
Hear the sound. Yeah.
There was a hidden thing here also about what the gopis are feeling about hearing that flute being blown into, and the flute is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips, and that is a whole other thing. Who can say something about that? Can you say something about that, Tisha?
For me, the way when I read it, because I love descriptive things like this, is that the gopis described that whole scene so we could hear about this beautiful exchange between the flute and Krishna. So even we hear it by hearing the gopis feel jealous or feel that the flute is, getting what belongs to them, that exchange, that love with Krishna. And so that's how I read it. I was tickled about the gopis having that conversation, but really hearing the description that they give about the relationship between Krishna and the flute was more what I focused on.
Okay, so that sounds like a right-wing gopi. From the left side, anyone else have something to say about the gopis? Like, there's audacity of the flute. This is our property. You can see how there's so many different moods, and you're right, this has so many different moods itself. We might be there's Thakur. You say, thank you, Tisha, my darling. You say something, Thakur, about this, and then you continue reading.
Yes, I will just quickly about the audacity. That word, it does say something when somebody use that word, audacity.
Yeah.
How dare you? Yes. So it's far out in the sense that we see emotions being expressed by the gopis. For example, they said that not even more so was left after the flute done playing. There was no remnants left. In other words, like the flute has taken everything. So even though the flute has done so much, there was any remnants to be taken. So, and the word audacity, it does say a lot in the sense that it epitomizes the sentiments of the gopis.
Yeah, yes. Audacity. They were a little, as Tisha said, they were a little envious, and they were angry. What are you using? This ours. The Krishna's lips belong to us. Oh my God, Hare Krishna. And what can we say about chanting the holy name? And he's on my lips, so they're sharing it with everybody, right? Krishna's dancing on our tongue. We're pronouncing his name with our lips. We're directly associating using our lips for Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, go on reading. Thakur.
Okay, Krishna book.
Slowly, because I have
I'm
old
trying-
ears.
I'm
Slowly.
trying very hard. That's not my natural nature, so I'm trying very hard. You know.
I know, my darling. Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that.
Okay, good. Krishna book 10.21.9. And the Gopi said, my dear friend, you cannot even think of his bamboo flute. Some of my, let me see how I get this. I need to move this. Okay. Where am I now? Oh.
What sort of pious activities? It's the
Okay,
second
what sort of,
sentence.
yes. So what sort of pious activities did it execute so that it is now enjoying the nectar of lips of Krishna? Krishna sometimes kisses the gopis. Therefore, the transcendental nectar of his lips is available unto them, and his lips are considered their property. Therefore, the gopis ask, how is it possible that the flute, which is nothing but a bamboo rod, is always engaged in enjoying nectar from Krishna's lips? Because the flute is engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, mother and father of the flute must be happy. End of quote. The lakes and the rivers are considered to be the mothers of the trees because the trees live simply by drinking water. So the waters of the lakes and the rivers of Vrindavan were full of happy lotus flowers because the waters were thinking, how is it our son, the bamboo rod, is enjoying the nectar of Krishna's lips. Bamboo trees standing by the banks of rivers and the lakes were also happy to see their descendants so engaged in the service of the Lord, just as persons who are advanced in knowledge take pleasure to see their descendants engaged in the service of the Lord. The trees were overwhelmed with joy and were insistently yielding honey, which flowed from the beehives on the branches.
Good. Okay, so leave this up. This page. I have a question for you, Murari. You have children? You have children?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them walking around there. So how do you feel when they start chanting Hare Krishna or ask you something about Krishna or play Krishna games? How does that make you feel when you see them engaged?
I would say for not only children, because I was a teacher for nearly 20 years. When I meet my students, and they're doing pretty well, and some were sort of restless, but they become mature adults. No amount of money that I get could sort of, and the feeling, you want to say indescribable in the sense that nothing would compare to it.
Nothing would compare to it.
Yes, there's nothing that would compare to it. So the children or students, yes. So
nothing compares to.
Yes.
So when you see your child engaged in Krishna's service, you feel that your duty in life has been completed. Yes. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. So that's even the trees were feeling that way. But when we first became devotees, and our children were in the Gurukula, and then we saw them during Mangal Arti dancing and everything. I mean, it's just very nice. You feel like what you're doing is wonderful in service to Prabhupada and the service to Krishna. Thank you very much, Murari. We have one more slide, I believe. Let's finish up.
I have 2 more slides.
Oh, we have 2 more slides. Okay. Manvantara, would you like to read? Let's see if she's still with us.
She's there. She's just unmuting.
Okay, so Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21, text 10. Saraswati Darshini. O friend, Vrindavan is spreading the glory of the earth, having obtained the treasure of the lotus feet of Krishna, the son of Devaki. The peacocks dance madly when they hear Govinda's flute, and when other creatures see them from the hilltops, they all become stunned. Thakur's commentary. A gopi said, it is not possible to find the symbols of Krishna's feet decorating the abode of Vaikuntha, nor is it possible to see such a beautiful cow pasturing area there. In Vrindavan, the peacocks ask Krishna, Govinda, please make us dance. Thus Krishna plays his flute, and they surround him in a circle and dance madly in time with the rhythm of his melody. And while standing in the midst of their dancing, Krishna also sings and dances. Then those peacocks, who are fully satisfied with his flute recital, out of gratitude, offer his pleasure their own divine feathers. In the usual manner of musicians, Krishna gladly accepts their offerings and places a peacock feather upon his turban. Gentle animals such as deer and doves greatly relish Krishna's transcendental performance, and to get a good view, they flock to the peaks of hills. Then, as they watch the breathtaking program, they become stunned in ecstasy.
This is the one from Krishna book, same verse.
Okay, read that.
Sometimes the gopis spoke thus to their friends about Krishna. Dear friends, our Vrindavan is proclaiming the glories of this entire earth because this planet is glorified by the lotus footprints of the son of Devaki. Besides that, when Govinda plays his flute, the peacocks immediately become mad. When all the animals and trees and plants, either on the top of Govindhan hill or in the valley, see the dancing of the peacock, they all stand still and listen to the transcendental sound of the flute with great attention. We think this boon is not possible or available on any other planet. Although the gopis were village cowherd women and girls, they had knowledge of Krishna. Similarly, one can learn the highest truths simply by hearing the Vedas from authoritative sources.
All right. Thank you. Does anybody, I know Chaita, you're a musician. If anybody has played music or seen other people play music on the streets and given them money or something, even then it was happening too. 500 years ago, 400 years ago, when Vishwanath wrote this purport. Was it 400 years ago?
5,000 years ago, Krishna played for the
peacock.
With the
It's
peacock.
always a custom to give money to a street musician. I thought that was kind of cool.
Manvantara, any comment?
Well, I was surprised that the gopis said that he's the son of Devaki. I'm like, how do they know about that?
Okay.
But I was just curious,
Actually,
Go
ahead.
on,
Sam.
Pat. No, you speak.
We're going to have very different answers.
Oh, well, you give your answer.
Okay, Vishwanath will explain later on in a different place. Whenever it mentions about Devaki Nandan, he explains that one of the names of Yasoda was also Devaki. And because one of her names was Devaki and Vasudev's wife's name was Devaki, they were very close friends. But he always points out that that's when the gopis speak of Devaki Nandan, they're referring to Yasoda. And Simon has another one. We can go on another time.
No, we won't go on with that. No, that's a good way. It's true. It's actually true, and it's written. But we can't. The people, the Goswamis who are absorbed in the Braj Ras, they see everything in relation to Vrindavan and Gopala Champu. So which is the topmost yoga. It's the topmost thing. But having said that, there is also a relationship with Devaki and Vasudeva and Krishna. And Krishna's so far out, he can.
We don't have time to go there.
We don't
too
have
much.
time for that.
No, not the time.
Because that's an eternal topic.
Well, that's another topic for another time, I think.
Yeah. Okay, everyone. But thank you for your association. And thank you for this wonderful Sangam. And thank you, Prati. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotee.
Hare Krishna.